Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. This is our Sunday Advanced Bible Study, the 12th of April, 2026. We'll be reading our 5 chapters tonight. We're in the book of Isaiah. We'll be reading chapters 31 through 35. We're going to read each chapter and break it down. Okay, break the scripture down. Okay, we go to our YouTube channel, The Prophets of Awakening. Check out our videos. We have over 1,000 or so videos that you can look at, examine, get to meet out these videos that lead you to the truth of the Holy Scriptures. And if you like what you're hearing and receiving, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It'd be greatly appreciated. Okay, we have our Cash App at the bottom of the screen also for those that want to support this channel and help it move along. Okay, for those that don't know, this is a non-Messianic channel. We deal with the Tanakh and the Torah. Tanakh being the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance, and the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses by our Savior and our Redeemer and our Deliverer, the Lord of Hosts. Okay, this channel was created to aid and assist our Hebrews who are waking up to their true identity in these last days and also understanding who their Savior and their Redeemer truly is. Shalom and welcome to this channel. Okay, and welcome to our Sunday Advanced Bible Study. Okay, we're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence, prayer, Psalms. We have some current events, need to know information. Then we open it up for anybody that have any questions, any comments, any dialogue or testimony. Okay, then we go to our topic for discussion, which is we're watching a video. The system is rigged all along. We're going to play that and we'll deal with the content. Okay. Then we're going to pick we'll read out the book of Isaiah, read our 5 chapters, break them down, and then we're going to pick a scripture and break that scripture down, then we'll close out. Okay? This moment of silence is for the Lord of hosts and all that he's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. Oh Lord, we pray unto the Lord our God, and we make our confessions, O Lord, the great and dreadful God, keeping covenant and mercy to them that love thee and to them that keep thy commandments. The Lord, righteousness belongeth unto thee, but unto us a confusion of face, as at this day, to the men of Judah and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and unto all Israel that are near and that are far off, through all the countries whither thou hast driven us, because of our trespass that we have trespassed against thee. O Lord, hear this prayer and cause thy face to shine upon thy sanctuary and our people for your sake. O Lord, open your eyes and incline your ears to hear and behold our condition. O Lord, hear. O Lord, forgive. O Lord, hearken and do, and defer not for thy own sake. O my Lord, for thy people and your land need you desperately at this hour. Peace be unto you. Okay. Read the Psalms right quick. Okay. Okay, I'll read Psalms 10. It's a prayer for the overthrow of the wicked. Say, why standest thou far off, O Lord? Why hidest thou thyself in times of trouble? The wicked in his pride do it or persecute the poor. Let them be taken in the devices that they have imagined. For the wicked boasted of his heart's desire, and blessed the covetous, whom the Lord abhorred. The wicked, through the pride of his countenance, will not seek after God. God is not in all his thought. His ways are always grievous. Thy judgments are far above out of his sight. As for all his enemies, he puffeth at them. He hath said in his heart, I shall not be moved, for I shall never be in adversity. His mouth is full of cursing and deceit and fraud. Under his tongue is mischief and vanity. He sitteth in the lurking places of the villages. In the secret places doeth he murder of the innocent. His eyes are privately set against the poor. He lieth in wait secretly as a lion in his den. He lieth in wait to catch the poor. He doeth catch the poor when he draweth him into his net. He croucheth, humbleth himself, that the poor may fall by his strong ones. He hath said in his heart, God hath forgotten. He hideth his face. He will never see it. Arise, O Lord, O God, and lift up thine hand. Forget not the humble. Wherefore doeth the wicked contempt God? He hath said in his heart, thou wilt not require it. Thou hast seen it, for thou beholdest mischief and spite, to requite it with thy hands. The poor committeth himself unto thee. Thou art the helper of the fatherless. Break thou the arm of the wicked and the evil man. Seek out his wickedness till thou find none. Lord is king forever and ever. And the heathens are, and the heathen perishes out of his hand. Lord, thou hast heard the desires of the humble. Thou wilt prepare their hearts. Thou wilt cause thy ear to hear, to judge the fatherless and the oppressed, that the man of the earth may no more oppress. Okay, that was Psalm 10, and it's the prayer for the overthrow of the wicked. So while I was reading this, I caught something like quick. I'm going to shine light on it. So he says in verse, I'm going to read 11 and 12, but the verse I'm going to is 12. It says, he hath said in his heart, it's the wicked. He hath said in his heart, God hath forgotten. He hideth his face. He will never see it. So right here, I want you to see in verse 11, it says God. But I'm going to show you who this God is, right? Verse 11 says, he hath said in his heart, God hath forgotten. He hideth his face. He will never see it. Then 12 is it. 12, check it out. Arise. So this is David talking. Arise, O Lord, O God. Lift up thine hand and forget not the humble. So who he talking to? We're going to go to Deuteronomy real quick. Go to two precepts. Okay, so we go to, this is David talking to the God, the so-called God of Israel, right? Everybody assumes that it's the creator God in heaven. So I'm in Deuteronomy 32. Right quick. Okay. He says, arise, O Lord, and lift up thy hands, right? I'm in 32, start at verse 37. And he shall say, where are thy gods, their rock in whom they are trusted, which did eat the fat of their sacrifices and drink the wine of their drink offerings? Let them rise up and help you and be your protection. Now here you go right here, 39. See now, it's the Lord, the God I'm talking about. See now that I, even I am he, and there is no God with me. I kill, I make alive, I wound, and I heal. Neither is there any that can deliver out of my hand. For I lift up my hands to heaven, and I say, I live forever. So we see right here, this is what David telling him to do. David know who he is. He says in Psalm 10, lift up thy hands. So he's telling you right here, the God of Israel. For I lift up my hands to heaven. He lifts his hands up to his God, creator God, Yahweh. It's the Lord of hosts. See that? He says, verse 40, I lift up my hands to heaven and I say I live forever. Then 41, if I, with my glistening sword in my hand, take hold of judgment, I will render vengeance to my enemies and I reward them that hate me. So if you got any kind of contents or countless understanding, you can see right here, this ain't y'all. Okay, we're gonna place. You got your mic on. Okay, so we're gonna go to one more place. So David told me somebody got their mic on. So we go to Daniel chapter 12. Daniel chapter 12. Okay, and then we see in verse let me get it. Yeah, verse 7. It's Daniel 12 and 7. And I heard the man, it's the same man that David talking to. And I heard the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, when he held up his right hand and his left hand unto heaven, okay, and swore by him that liveth forever, that by him be for a time and a half time, and when he shall have accomplished to scatter the power of the holy people, all these things shall be finished. So we see right here, this is David telling him. So when he lift up his hands, Michael, in case you're fumbling with it, when he lift up his hands and bring judgment, that's what David is telling him to do. Show yourself, lift up your hands and show yourself. Okay? Is there something? I'm in class, bro. Okay, anybody got anything on that?
Shalom.
Yeah.
I apologize for the background. The lifting up the hands, is it better to raise your hand than to fold them as in prayer?
Say it again.
As the Most High has lifted his hands up, is it better to lift your hands up when you're praying, the clothing them?
Stretch your hands up to him. That's what he tell us to do. Do what we see him do. We stretch his hands up to heaven, to the creator. That's what we do.
Yes, sir. So the Bible, when
Okay, hear you.
Adam met the three angels, when Adam met the three angels,
There's something going on with
not
your mic.
Adam, Abraham,
Something going on with your
okay.
mic. Okay, yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
I'll just try later.
right. Okay. Let's see where we at. Okay, so we was at current events. Okay, that was in Psalms. It's current events. Okay, we'll play these current events and then we'll break it down after we play it. Okay.
Inserting your card, withdrawing $40 for the week, and then going home. Nothing unusual happened. You used your PIN, you got your cash, you walked away. And then later that evening, you check your account and $960 is gone. Not a slow drain over several transactions, not a charge you vaguely remember making. $960 vanished in a single session at the same ATM where you just withdrew your 40. And when you call the bank to report it, they tell you that you authorized the transaction. Case closed. This is not a hypothetical. This is what happened to multiple real people in California. And the method the scammers used is one of the most deceptively simple and technically clever ATM attacks that has emerged in years. It involves super glue, a stranger, and a feature on your ATM card that most people have never thought twice about. By the end of this video, you are going to understand exactly how this attack works, why it is so difficult to dispute with your bank, what the Supreme Court and federal consumer protection laws say about your rights when unauthorized transactions happen to your account, and most importantly, the exact steps you can take right now to make sure you never become the next victim. Welcome back. I am your host, and today we are going deep on a scam that is spreading faster than most people realize and targeting ordinary people going about their ordinary financial lives. Before we get into it, go ahead and like this video and subscribe to the channel because this kind of information is exactly what this channel exists to deliver. The people who watch these videos protect themselves, the people who do not find out the hard way. Let us make sure you are in the first group. Here is the exact story of how this attack was first reported, because the specifics of what happened to the victims in California reveal everything you need to understand about why this scam works so well. A woman approached an ATM to withdraw $40. She inserted her card into the slot, but the card would not go in. The slot was not accepting it. As she stood there trying to figure out what was going on, a helpful stranger nearby noticed her difficulty and offered an explanation. He said something like, "Oh, you have one of the new cards, right? With the tap feature. Just tap your card on the reader instead of inserting it." The tap feature, contactless payment technology, is something most modern debit and credit cards now have. Many people use it regularly for purchases. It is a legitimate feature. So the woman tapped her card on the ATM reader, entered her PIN, withdrew her $40, thanked the helpful stranger, and went on with her day. It was only when she checked her account at home that she discovered the additional $960 missing. She called Chase Bank to report the unauthorized transactions, and Chase's initial response was stunning. The bank told her they would not be returning the money because she had authorized the transaction. Think about what that means from the bank's perspective. They saw a customer use their card, enter their PIN, conduct a session, and they interpreted everything that followed as authorized under that same session. As far as the bank's records were concerned, the customer had approved the activity because the customer had initiated the session. It was not until the ABC News team picked up the story and the resulting public pressure mounted that Chase reversed its decision and returned the stolen money to the victims. But most people who get scammed this way will not have a news crew in their corner. Most people will face that initial bank refusal with no recourse and no leverage. Understanding exactly why the bank responded this way requires understanding exactly how the attack works at a technical level, because the technical mechanics are what create the legal and financial dispute that benefits the scammer. Here is what actually happened at that ATM and why it worked. The attacker arrived before any victims were present and applied super glue to the card insertion slot on the ATM, not to the entire machine, just the slot where cards are inserted. This is not a sophisticated piece of hardware. It is a tube of superglue and 30 seconds of work. The slot is now sealed. Cards cannot be inserted. The ATM itself continues to function completely normally in every other respect. When a customer arrives and tries to insert their card, it does not go in. They may try several times. They may look for a malfunction notice on the screen. There is none. And this is when the attacker, who has been nearby watching, introduces himself as a helpful stranger. The social engineering component of this attack is essential because most people would eventually figure out the tap feature on their own or would simply leave and find another ATM. The attacker needs to keep the victim at this specific machine and needs to get them using the tap feature rather than looking for a different solution. So he plays the helpful neighbor, the person who just happens to know about that newer feature, and he steers the victim toward exactly the action that creates the vulnerability. Now, here's the technical piece that most people have never thought about. And it is the reason this scam works so elegantly from a financial crime perspective. When you insert your card into an ATM and complete a transaction, the session ends when you remove the card. The card leaving the slot signals to the system that the transaction is complete and the session is closed. If you want to do another transaction, you insert the card again and authenticate again with your PIN. But when you use the tap feature, the session structure is fundamentally different. Contactless tap technology is designed for speed and convenience. When you tap your card, authenticate with your PIN, and complete your transaction, the session does not necessarily close the same way. The ATM may still be in an active authenticated session. And if you walk away from the machine while that session is open, thinking you are done, the attacker can walk up to the ATM immediately after you leave and conduct additional transactions on your open session without entering your PIN. They have access to your account because the authentication you provided is still active. The session is yours. The access belongs to whoever is at the machine. This is why the bank's dispute response was technically defensible from the institution's perspective. The PIN was entered once by the legitimate customer. Every transaction that followed in that session was conducted under the same authenticated session. From the bank's records, it looked like one continuous authorized session. The fact that
Okay, what you think? Anybody heard about this?
Shalom, everybody. Shalom, Brother Leonard. I haven't heard about this specific scam. This actually a little different than the one I've seen before, but it's better to go inside, you know, because it's harder for somebody to do something like that to the card scanner inside versus out there at the pump. But I do know they also got this little piece that they put over where you put in your card, and it does the same thing, like keeps the session open, and they're able to keep taking people money. But that's the one I heard of, and not super gluing it.
Okay. Anybody else? So we need to
Shalom,
recap.
everyone. Shalom, Brother Leonard.
Shalom.
Okay, go ahead, Cheryl.
I don't know if you guys can hear me, but as
I
far
can
as
hear you.
the bank returning her money, yes. There's always a camera at the ATM unless she was somewhere that's located. I don't know what other ATM she was using. If it wasn't her bank ATM, there's a camera, and then she could have disputed it because she only got $40 out, and then an additional $900. It doesn't show $40, $940. There was a lot to go with that, but as far as people being aware of these scams with the ATM, they're also putting things out there for people not to come to the ATMs. So I think that's something that one that I heard just a moment ago was kind of far fetched to me, but that's just me and my way of thinking. Go ahead, Joyce.
Shalom, everyone. I haven't heard. I heard of the one that AJ spoke of, and I know that if you are there, you should never try and do your. I know I don't try to tap at an ATM. I know I have tapped in the store, but I haven't never tapped at an ATM. Shalom.
Okay, anybody else got any comments on that? Okay, here we go.
Recovering from the fury in the Middle East, we are once again staring at one of the most dangerous flashpoints on the planet. Yes, the Korean Peninsula. North Korea has fired multiple ballistic missiles in back-to-back launches, including several short-range projectiles from the Wonsan region on its eastern coast, sending them toward the Sea of Japan, or the East Sea as it is known in South Korea. According to Seoul's Joint Chiefs of Staff, the missiles traveled roughly 240 kilometers before splashing into the sea. No casualties have been reported, no ships were hit. But make no mistake, viewers, this is not just another missile test. This is a message, a warning, and perhaps a carefully calibrated provocation. Because these launches come at a moment when North Korea is making one thing crystal clear. It has no intention of repairing ties with Seoul. Hello and welcome. I am Nikita Kapoor and you are watching Decode. And in this episode, we decode, is North Korea really preparing for war? And if not war, then what exactly is Kim Jong-un trying to signal here? First, the facts. South Korea says North Korea launched several ballistic missiles just a day after another projectile was detected from near Pyongyang. That means 2 straight days of launches. The missiles were fired from Wonsan, a strategically significant coastal city that has long been associated with missile and naval testing infrastructure. Wonsan is not random, viewers. This is one of North Korea's key military zones, home to missile launch sites, naval facilities, and air defense assets. The fact that these launches originated from there matters. South Korea's military says one projectile from Tuesday showed abnormal development in the early phase and disappeared from the radar, raising the possibility of either a failed test or a new missile system or deliberate radar invasion capability. North Korea uses missile launches to project strength internally. Every test reinforces the image of Kim Jong-un as the defender of the state against US, South Korea military pressure. This is about regime legitimacy. Second, military deterrence. By repeatedly testing short-range systems, North Korea is reminding South Korea that it can strike targets across the country with very little warning. Seoul lies within range of multiple North Korean missile systems. That's a major strategic lever.
So war is brewing in North and South Korea. Nobody should be surprised. Anybody anything about this? Okay. So we're gonna go to our need to know information. As you can, if you don't know, they closed the Strait of Hormuz back up again. So you shouldn't be surprised, but check it out.
Something most people have not fully understood yet. Not because the information isn't out there, it is. It's in the headlines, it's in the briefings, it's being discussed in emergency sessions in Washington, Brussels, Tokyo, and Beijing right now as you watch this. The reason most people haven't understood it is because no one has explained what it actually means. Not just for oil prices, not just for energy markets, but for the food you buy, the job you have, the loan you're paying, the country you live in, and the global order that has quietly kept the world economy functioning for the last 5 decades. The Strait of Hormuz is closed, not restricted, not threatened, not partially blocked by naval posturing or political saber rattling. Closed. And the International Energy Agency, in language that career diplomats and market analysts described as the most alarming they have ever seen from that institution, officially called this the largest supply disruption in the history of the global oil market. Let that sit for a moment. The history of the global oil market includes the 1973 Arab oil embargo. It includes the Iranian Revolution of 1979. It includes the Gulf War, the invasion of Iraq, the chaos of Libya, the collapse of Venezuelan production. Every one of those events sent shockwaves through the global economy. Every one of them is now second place. This is the one that beats all of them. Brent crude crossed $120 per barrel within hours of the closure being confirmed. And here's the thing that most financial commentators are not telling you. $120 is not the ceiling. That's where we are right now. That is the opening number, and the trajectory, based on what intelligence reports are already suggesting about the duration of this closure, points somewhere much, much higher. But forget the oil price for a second, because the real story here is not about oil. Not really. Oil is just the delivery mechanism. The real story is about what happens to a globally interconnected economic system when you remove its central artery in a matter of hours, with no warning, no transition, and no plan B. That is what this video is about. Now, this is where it gets serious, because to understand why the Hormuz closure is categorically different from every previous energy shock, you need to understand what that strait actually is. Not in vague terms, in precise, almost terrifying terms. The Strait of Hormuz is a narrow waterway between the southern coast of Iran and the tip of the Oman Peninsula. At its narrowest point, it is approximately 33 kilometers wide. That's it, 33 kilometers of water between two coastlines, and through that gap, every single day, passes between 20 and 21 million barrels of crude oil and petroleum products. To put that in perspective, that is approximately 20 to 21% of the world's total daily oil consumption moving through a single choke point. 1/5 of all the oil the entire planet uses every single day. This crisis as the indispensable diplomatic actor in the world's most important energy region. That is an extraordinary strategic prize. But brokering a resolution requires leverage over all parties, and leverage requires credibility. And credibility means being willing to use pressure, including economic pressure, on parties that China has carefully cultivated relationships with. The question of whether China will act as a stabilizing force or whether it will manage the crisis in ways that serve its own strategic interests is right now one of the most important unanswered questions in global geopolitics. And
Okay. Anybody got any comments on that? Okay. I'm gonna open it up for some questions, comments, any dialogue. Anybody got any testimonies? Anybody got anything they want to talk about? They heard on this channel. They heard on the women's line. Anybody got anything?
Shalom, everyone. What you just played, is that part of some type of tactic with China and Iran? Because they have
Well,
been, because they have been, they have been going around and still making deals.
Right, but it's America and Israel initiated. So they're the reason why it's where it's at. If they wouldn't have never attacked Iran, this wouldn't be happening. But after they attacked Iran, uh, they had every reason in the world to do what they're doing now.
Yes, sir. And I heard on the news here today that Trump announced he's giving them another 24 hours, and then he's going to do something again, um, attack them again. And he's
Right,
always using that obliterated word. So he's put it out there again for tomorrow. Shalom.
right. This like about the sixth time. So like I said, this becoming an embarrassment because him and this other guy Hepsek and all of them they lying about what they're doing, but then when it's time for the show and prove, there's nothing there. It's one lie after another one.
Sir, do you believe that that's, I know you say it's a lie and it proves it's a lie because he doesn't do anything. But again, we've been looking at all the back behind the scenes strategic planning to give Israel more time again to do what they're doing because they bombed again over there in Lebanon. And so here it is, some more distraction. I'm going to do this now, get up your arms and this and that. And
Right.
how he said that he destroyed all of them nuclear missiles and he hasn't, so that's still giving them more time again. And by him doing everything he doing, they said that they came to the table and asked for some things and US asked for some things and JD Vance went over and they still refused.
Exactly.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, right. That's why I say it's with every day that passes, the U.S. is just losing more and more credibility because of what they say they're gonna do. They're not doing it, and then what they say they done, come to find out they haven't done it. So they're just
So,
losing. We're starting to see that who's in charge, who's in control, because it's from the way it looks, America not in charge.
I agree with that because the way it looks like Israel because they haven't stopped one moment and they're still doing what they do to try
Right,
and obtain Lebanon. Shalom.
right. It's causing problems for the negotiations. Whatever they're trying to do, Israel is causing problems with it. Okay. Anybody else got anything? Okay. So with that being said, I was talking, like I said, the last couple of days, I brought up the fact that the guy exposed the fact that Turkey is supposedly a major player in these end times. But if you look over in the New Testament and what these so-called end time prophets and all these people saying, you don't see Turkey playing a major role in the end time. And ever since that was exposed, starting to see more and more stuff coming out about Turkey. Check this out.
Right now, because what is happening between Turkey and the rest of the Middle East in the last 48 hours is not just another diplomatic spat. This is a shift, a real, consequential, potentially explosive shift that every single person watching this region needs to understand immediately. So stay with me, because by the end of this, you will see exactly why Turkey's latest moves are being called one of the biggest geopolitical plays of 2026, and why the world is watching Ankara like never before. Today, on the 12th of April 2026, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan stood before the International Asia Political Parties Conference in Istanbul and issued what can only be described as a war-level threat. He accused Israel of running what he called a blood-stained genocide network that kills innocent children and civilians without any rule or principle, ignoring all human values. But he did not stop at words. He went further, much further, and threatened that Turkey could take direct military action against Israel, explicitly comparing any such action to Turkey's past military interventions in Karabakh and Libya. This is not a hypothetical. This is a sitting NATO head of state, commanding the second largest military in the alliance, saying openly that military force against Israel is on the table. The shockwaves from that statement are still traveling around the world as you read this. Israel's response came within hours. The Israeli foreign minister labeled Erdogan a paper tiger. National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir used expletive-laden language directed personally at the Turkish president. Prime Minister Netanyahu accused Erdogan of having massacred his own Kurdish citizens, and Turkey fired straight back. Senior Turkish officials branded Netanyahu the Hitler of our time, called him a war criminal wanted by the International Criminal Court, and accused him of committing heinous crimes in Gaza, Syria, Lebanon, and Iran. They said his attacks on Turkey were nothing more than a desperate attempt to distract from his impending international accountability. This is not diplomatic friction. This is two countries and a near complete breakdown of any pretense of relations, and the language being used is unlike anything seen in recent memory between two states that are technically both aligned with the Western world. To understand how we got here, you have to go back to February 28th, 2026, the day the United States and Israel launched military strikes against Iran. That single event has redrawn the entire strategic map of the Middle East, and Turkey is sitting right at its most dangerous intersection. Turkey shares a 350-mile border with Iran. Approximately 20% of its oil supply transits through the Strait of Hormuz. Iran was meeting nearly 7.5% of Turkey's natural gas needs before this war began. So when the bombs started falling on Tehran, Ankara did not just watch from a distance. It felt the heat immediately, economically, politically, and militarily. In the first days of the war, Turkey tried to walk a careful line. Erdogan condemned the strikes on Iran, but he also condemned Iran's retaliatory missile attacks on other countries in the region. Turkish officials made clear that Turkish airspace and assets, including the highly strategic Incirlik air base, would not be used to attack Iran. For a brief moment, it looked like Turkey might actually manage to stay outside the ring of fire, as Erdogan himself described it. But then came March 4th, and that illusion collapsed entirely. On that day, NATO interceptors shot down an Iranian ballistic missile that had been directed at Turkish airspace. Turkey had been hit, or nearly hit, and was now undeniably part of this conflict, whether it chose to be or not. And on the same day, reports surfaced that the CIA was actively working to arm Kurdish forces inside Iran to foment rebellion. For Ankara, that was a red line being crossed. The Kurdish issue is Turkey's deepest, most existential security concern, and the idea of US-backed Kurdish forces gaining territory and power on Turkey's eastern border, inside a collapsing Iran, is something Ankara cannot allow under any circumstances.
Okay. Ain't there so many? Anybody got any comments on that? What you think? Okay.
Shalom, Brother Leonard. with that video that the Asian guy, Professor Jang, was talking about the other day, about there's somebody that wins that kind of stay out the way. It kind of sounds like that's Turkey.
All right, yeah, they trying to, but like he was saying, they continuously being pulled into it.
Right.
My thing is like between Iran and Turkey and what Israel's objective is. When they start talking about the greater Israel, they want to get rid of Iran and Turkey. So they intentionally trying to pull them into the conflict. So they, whatever the end result of the conflict gonna be, they want to rid themselves of Iran and Turkey. Okay, that's me looking at it, and you know, looking at what's being prophesied, what's actually prophecy is telling us, and all that. Yeah, so they trying to bring. And notice what the Israeli guy said. He said the president for Turkey is a paper tiger. So he's saying that he ain't hitting on nothing. He's just gonna bark, stay on the porch. Okay. So that's calling him out right there. Okay. So anyway, anybody else got anything on that? Okay. So like I said, I will do my topic for discussion, and then we'll read these 5 chapters out of Isaiah. So right here, play this, and then we'll talk about it. And we'll go into.
Let me ask you something. When the stock market crashed in 1929, who lost everything? Ordinary people, farmers, workers, families. When the housing market collapsed in 2008, who lost everything? Ordinary people. Millions of families lost their homes. And when the next collapse happens, and it is coming, who will lose everything? Ordinary people, again. But here's the question nobody asks. Who won in 1929? Who won in 2008? The same people who always win.
Edomites.
The ones who built the system. The ones who control the system. The ones who can flip the switch and make the system collapse whenever it suits them. Today, I'm going to show you something that will permanently change the way you look at every financial headline for the rest of your life. Because the war in Iran, the tariffs on China, the AI bubble, the $39 trillion US debt, these are not separate stories. They are all part of the same machine. A machine that was built in 1688 that has never stopped running. And that is right now, in April 2026, preparing for its next controlled demolition. Stay with me, because this is the one class nobody wants you to take. Every economics student learns the same story. It's called the boom-bust cycle. The economy grows, people get overconfident. They spend too much, they borrow too much, and then gravity. The bubble pops, the economy collapses, and everyone suffers. And when you ask your professor, but why does the bubble pop? They say, it's just the natural order of capitalism, like it's weather, like it's physics, like no one is responsible. But here's what they never teach you. Financial collapses do not happen naturally. They are engineered. There are people, specific people with specific institutions who have the ability to cause economies to rise and to fall. And they have been doing it for over 300 years. To understand how, you first need to understand how money actually works. Here's a question that seems simple. You deposit $1 million in a bank. The bank lends that $1 million to an entrepreneur who wants to open a restaurant. How much money does the bank have now? If you said zero, you failed economics. The correct answer is $2 million because the bank still has your deposit on its books and the entrepreneur has the $1 million in his account. The bank created money out of nothing. This is called fractional reserve banking, and every bank in the world does this every single day. In fact, for every dollar deposited, a bank can lend out up to $10, which means most of the money in existence was never printed. It was typed into a computer screen by a banker approving a loan. Money is not gold. Money is not paper. Money is a collective hallucination. It only works because we all agree to believe in it simultaneously. The moment people stop believing, the entire system evaporates. Now, here is the next question.
So it's, just for GP, so it's the same concept with the New Testament. Like you say, the money ain't even there, but everybody riding off of it. Same with the same thing. JC, you dealing with the New Testament, it ain't real, but you still dealing with it.
If there are tens of thousands of banks all creating money independently, how do they coordinate? How does the system know when to expand and when to contract? The answer is something called the signaling mechanism. Every bank in the world answers to a central bank. In America, the Federal Reserve. In Europe, the European Central Bank. In England, the Bank of England. And the central bank controls one thing, the interest rate. Now, here's what they teach you in school. When interest rates are low, consumers borrow more and spend more. When interest rates are high, consumers borrow less and spend less. This controls inflation. That explanation is designed for children. Here's what actually happens. When the central bank lowers interest rates, it is not signaling consumers. It is signaling banks to release liquidity. It is telling every bank in the system, open the floodgates, lend as much as possible, pump money into the economy. And when the central bank raises interest rates, it is signaling the opposite. Tighten the gates, make loans harder to get, pull money out of the economy. This is not economics. This is a remote control for the entire global economy. And whoever controls the interest rate controls the boom, controls the bust, controls everything. So who controls the interest rate? Follow the history. The year is 1688. England and the Dutch Republic make an agreement that changes human history forever. The Dutch Republic at this time is the richest place on earth. It controls the spice trade, the oil of the 17th century. But the Dutch have a problem. They are a small, flat country surrounded by enemies. Catholic France to the west, the Holy Roman Empire to the east, the Catholic Church everywhere. They are rich but vulnerable. England, on the other hand, is an island protected by the Royal Navy. It is militarily powerful but financially underdeveloped. So they make a deal. Bubble number 3, US government debt. America currently has $39 trillion in debt. The interest payments alone now exceed the entire US defense budget. This is not sustainable. Every financial analyst alive knows this. The question is never if. The question is always when, and who profits from the timing. Here is where everything we have discussed comes together. In the last 30 days, Trump has launched a war in Iran. He has imposed tariffs on China, Europe, and allies. He has threatened to absorb Canada. He has disrupted the global trade system that has been in place since 1944. Every mainstream analyst says Trump is destroying the global economy. But ask the right question. Which global economy? The one built by the Bank of England in 1694? The one consolidated by the Federal Reserve in 1913? The one that gave us 2008? The one that transferred trillions from ordinary families to BlackRock and JP Morgan? That global economy? Because if you understand the system, what Trump is doing is not destroying the economy. He is destroying their economy, the transnational capital system, the one where profits are privatized and losses are socialized on the American people. The tariffs force manufacturing back to America. The war in Iran collapses Middle Eastern oil, forcing the world to buy American energy. The disruption of alliances forces America's partners to pay for their own defense. And the collapse of the old system, the $39 trillion debt, the petrodollar, the unipolar financial order, creates the vacuum that the technate fills. A self-sufficient North American fortress that doesn't need the global system. That is the new global system. The Great Reset is not what the World Economic Forum planned. The Great Reset is what happens when the people who understand the machine decide to flip the switch themselves before their enemies do it first. There are only 2 ways to respond to what is coming. The first way, believe the official story. Trust that markets are self-correcting. Trust that the central bank has everything under control. Trust that this time is different. This is what millions of families believed in 1929, in 2008, and they paid with their homes, their savings, their futures. The second way, understand the machine. Know that the interest rate is a remote control. Know that the boom was engineered. Know that the bust will be engineered. Know that somewhere, right now, someone is quietly positioning to make $20 billion when it collapses. The question is not whether the system collapses. The question is which side of the collapse you are on. In 1929, the people who understood the machine were fine. In 2008, the people who understood the machine were fine. The war in Iran, the AI bubble, the private credit bubble, the $39 trillion debt. These are not random events. They are the preconditions for the next engineered collapse.
Yeah, so like I said, it's like you saying, control demo. They've been doing this over and over and over again. That's the reason why they stay rich and we stay to where we at. Okay, any comments on that? Okay, so with that being said, if you want to watch that, if the system was rigged all along, it's the channel is the power forecast. Okay, so with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and go to our start reading our 5 chapters out of the book of Isaiah. We're gonna read chapters 31 through 35. You want to read 31, Joyce?
Shalom, yes, sir. Isaiah chapter 31. Woe to them that go down to Egypt for help, and stay on horses, and trust in chariots because they are many, and in horsemen because they are very strong. But they look not unto the Holy One of Israel, neither seek the Lord. Yet he also is wise and will bring evil, and will not call back his words, but will arise against the house of the evildoers, and against the help of them that work iniquity. Verse 3, now the Egyptians are men and not God, and their horses flesh and not spirit. When the Lord shall stretch out his hand, both he that helpeth shall fall, and he that is hoping shall fall down, and they all shall fail together. For thus hath the Lord spoken unto me, like as the lion and the young lion roaring on his prey. When a multitude of shepherds is called forth against him, he will not be afraid of their voice, nor abase himself for the noise of them. So shall the Lord of hosts come down to fight for Mount Zion and for the hill thereof. Verse 5, as birds flying, so will the Lord of hosts defend Jerusalem. Defending also, he will deliver it, and passing over, he will preserve it. Turn ye unto him from whom the children of Israel have deeply revolted. For in that day every man shall cast away his idols of silver and his idols of gold, which your own hands have made unto you for a sin. Then shall the Assyrian fall with the sword, not of a mighty man, and the sword not of a mean man shall devour him. But he shall flee from the sword, and his young men shall be discomfited. And he shall pass over to his stronghold for fear, and his princes shall be afraid of the ensign, saith the Lord, whose fire is in Zion, and his furnace in Jerusalem. That was
Okay.
Isaiah 31.
Got any feedback on that?
Yes, sir. On verse, in verse, let me go back. I think it's verse 2. It says, yet he also is wise and will bring evil and will not call back his words, but will arise against the house of the evildoers and against the help of them that work iniquity. To me, that just shows the New Testament is false with JC, because the Lord of hosts tells that, like you go back and you read, he maketh and he giveth life and taketh life, so verse 2 says that, in my words, that New Testament is that's a lot of that is false. Shalom.
Right, yeah, I was looking at that. It dawned on me, if you go back, David is always saying this, but a lot of people don't really see it in its clarity. But it says in verse 4, it says, for thus have the Lord spoken unto me. So it's the Lord of hosts talking to Isaiah. It says, thus have the Lord spoken unto me. Like as a lion, right, and the young lion roaring on his prey, when a multitude of shepherds is called forth against him, he will not be afraid of their voice, nor abase himself for the noise of them. So shall the Lord, here you go, so shall the Lord of hosts come down to fight for Mount Zion and for the hill thereof. So he's coming down. So, he's in heaven. Like I said, when you understand that he's on the right hand side of the Father, when we see the same thing in 2 Samuel chapter 23, when David tells how he died and found himself in hell, and the Lord came down and rescued him and took him to the Lord's place. Okay.
Shalom. Yes, sir. I just want to add to that. When you talk about that, and when we read a lot in the Old Testament, how the Lord of hosts fights. In the New Testament, it's just turning cheeks and giving grace and mercy and peace
Right.
and all of that, when that is not what he is. He divides evil from good, sin from being a worshiper of him and Yahweh. Shalom.
Right. So that's the spirit that they put on us, because when you look and you say, when you see the way we were as Hebrews back in the day, what happened to that fight? Okay, so they knew who their God was. They knew that their God was a mighty man. They knew that he was a man of war. They knew that. But when they came with the JC story, that's what neutered us. We no longer. That's why they had to do away with that understanding that Israel had a God, a fighting God. So then at the council
Yes,
of
sir.
Nicaea, when they concocted JC, they put a God that's turning the cheek and all that, and then that knew the Israelites. Okay, so yeah.
Yes, sir.
So
Thank you.
yeah, you want to read 32 and 33, AJ, and I'll read 34 and 35.
Right, yes, sir. And the righteous king, and it says, "Behold, a king shall reign in righteousness, and princes shall rule in judgment, and a man shall be as in hiding place from the wind, and a cover from the tempest, as rivers of water in a dry place, as the shadow of a great rock in a weary land. And the eyes of them that see shall not be dimmed, and the ears of them that hear shall hearken. The heart also of the rash shall understand knowledge, and the tongue of the stammerers shall be ready to speak plainly. The vile person shall be no more called liberal, excuse me, nor the churl said to be bountiful. For the vile person will speak villainy, and his heart will work iniquity and practice hypocrisy, and to utter error against the Lord, to make empty the soul of the hungry, and he will cause the drink of the thirsty to fail. The instruments also of the churl are evil. He deviseth wicked devices to destroy the poor with lying words, even when the needy speaketh right. But the liberal deviseth liberal things, and by liberal things shall he stand. Rise up, you women that are at ease. Hear my voice, you careless daughters. Give ear unto my speech. Many days and years shall you be troubled, you careless woman, for the vintage shall fail, the gathering shall not come. Tremble, you women that are at ease. Be troubled, you careless ones. Strip you and make you bare, and gird sackcloth upon your loins. They shall lament for the tears, for the pleasant fields, for the fruitful vine. Upon the land of my people shall come up thorns and briars. Yea, upon all the houses of joy in the city. Excuse me. In the Upon the land of my people shall come up thorns and briars, yea, upon all the houses of joy in the joyous city, because the palaces shall be forsaken, the multitude of the cities shall be left, the forts and the towers shall be dens forever, a joy of wild asses, a pasture of flocks, until the Spirit be poured upon us from on high, in the wilderness be a fruitful field, and the fruitful field be counted for a forest. Then judgment shall dwell in the wilderness, and righteousness remain in the fruitful field. And the work of righteousness shall be peace, and the effect of righteousness, quietness and assurance forever. And my people shall dwell in a peaceable habitation, and in sure dwellings, and in quiet resting places. When it shall hail, coming down on the forest in the city shall be low in the low place. Blessed are ye that sow beside all waters, that send forth thither the feet of the ox and the ass. And shalom. That was Isaiah 32.
Got anything on that?
But Brother Leonard, I got one thing that they mentioned. You was talking about this even yesterday with the year of the Jubilees,
Right.
and in the year of the Sabbaths, right? And you know how people talk about the land and stuff. It mentioned in here how the land is cursed, like in Leviticus 25, how the land is cursed too if we go against the Lord of hosts.
Okay. Yeah.
And then
Right.
Brother Leonard, I in verse 1, sir, is that behold, a king shall reign in righteousness? Would this be talking about Zerubbabel or no?
Yeah. You're talking about he's gonna when you understand this, it's in Jeremiah, it's in Isaiah. They're gonna go, Nebuchadnezzar was gonna come, take them to Babylon for 70 years, then he's gonna judge Babylon, then Israel gonna come back. And so in order for Israel to come back, a righteous king got to raise up. He got to raise a righteous king. So this Zerubbabel.
Right. That makes sense to the timeline.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. I'm gonna read 33.
Right, sir. And it says, woe to thee that spoilest, and thou wast not spoiled, and dwellest treacherously, and they dwell not treacherously with thee. When thou shalt cease to spoil, thou shalt be spoiled. And when thou shalt make an end to deal treacherously, they shall deal treacherously with thee. O Lord, be gracious unto us. We have waited for thee. Be thou their arm every morning, our salvation also in the time of trouble. At the noise of the tumult, the people fled. At the lifting up of thyself, the nations were scattered. And your spoil shall be gathered like the gathering of the cattle, the running to of locusts. He ran upon them. The Lord is exalted, for he dwelleth on high. He hath filled Zion with judgment and righteousness, and wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times and strength of salvation. The fear of the Lord is his treasure. Behold, their valiant ones shall cry without. The ambassadors of peace shall weep bitterly. The highways lie waste. The wayfaring man ceaseth. He hath broken the covenant. He hath despised the cities. He regardeth no man. The earth mourneth and languisheth. Lebanon is ashamed and hewn down. Sharon is like a wilderness, and Bashan and Carmel shake off their fruits. Now will I rise, saith the Lord. Now will I be exalted. Now will I lift up myself. Ye shall conceive chaff. Ye shall bring forth stubble. Your breath as fire shall devour you, and the people shall be as the burnings of lime. As thorns cut up, shall they be burned in the fire. Hear ye that are far off what I have done, and ye that are near acknowledge my might. The sinners in Zion are afraid. Fearfulness have surprised the hypocrites. Who among us shall dwell with the devouring fire? Who among us shall dwell with everlasting burnings? He that walketh righteously and speaketh uprightly, he that despiseth the gain of oppressions, that shaketh his hands from holding of bribes, that stoppeth his ears from hearing of blood, and shutteth his eyes from seeing evil. He shall dwell on high. His place of defense shall be the munitions of rocks. Bread shall be given him. His waters shall be sure. Thine eyes shall see the king in his beauty. They shall behold the land that is very far off. Thine heart shall meditate terror. Where is the scribe? Where is the receiver? Where is he that counted the towers? Thou shalt not see a fierce people, a people of a deeper speech than thou canst perceive, of a stammering tongue that thou cannot understand. Look upon Zion, the city of our solemnities. Thine eyes shall see Jerusalem, a quiet habitation, a tabernacle that shall not be taken down. Not one of the stakes thereof shall ever be removed, neither shall any of the cords thereof be broken. But there the glorious Lord will be unto us a place of broad rivers and streams, wherein shall go no galley with oars, neither shall galleon ships pass thereby. For the Lord is our judge, the Lord is our lawgiver, the Lord is our king, and he will save us. Thy tacklings are loosed, they cannot well strengthen their mast, they cannot spread the sail. Then is the prey of a great spoil divided. The lame take the prey, and the inhabitant shall not say, I am sick. The people that dwell therein shall be forgiven their iniquity. Shalom. That was Isaiah chapter 33.
Okay. You got anything on
No, sir, not really. Don't. Well, the only thing, Brother Leonard, right here in verse 22, where it says, "For the Lord is our judge,
that? Right.
and the Lord is our lawgiver, and the Lord is our king, and He will save us." I mean, in Daniel 12, you went to that precept when you started it off that Michael, when he stands up, raise up his hand, and he stand up. You know, he's the one that saves us, and I know he's the judge as well.
Right. He's a lawgiver. He the one gave the Torah to Moses. So he's the lawgiver.
Right.
He's the judge, and he's king. Like I said, when you understand all that, like I said, David is the visible king that they see. But the Lord of hosts is the power behind David. And you have to understand that. The same thing with when you understand who the Lord of hosts is and who Yahweh is. Yahweh is the power behind Michael. Okay. So yeah, with that being said, I'll read 34. It says, "The Lord's wrath upon the nations. Come near, ye nations, to hear and hearken, ye people, lest the earth hear, and all that is therein, the world, all things that come forth of it. For the indignation of the Lord is upon all nations, and his fury upon all their armies. He hath utterly destroyed them. He hath delivered them to the slaughter." So, like I said, we're in the book of Isaiah, and he told our fathers that they were going to Babylon for 70 years. After the 70 years, they're going to judge the nation. This is what we're looking at. And this is what I'm saying when I say that the third beast is not in here. They don't have this in there. It's being talked about, but it's not. They never brought it to pass in the Old Testament because they don't want to deal with the third beast. That's when the concoction came. That's how they brought JC in. So it says, remember what Daniel said. The Most High indignation came to a full with Israel. So he had Antiochus come, like he said, the prince that shall come. He came and destroyed the city. Not in the Revelations. He came right after Daniel had the vision. Then the prince that after Zerubbabel came back, then the prince that shall come, Antiochus came because they picked back up where they left off. And he ran them out of the land of Israel in 143 BC into Africa until the curses caught up with them when the slave ships came in 1619. So anyway, so in verse 2 it says, "For the indignation of the Lord is upon all nations." See that? The indignation of the Lord is upon all nations, and his fury is upon their armies. He hath utterly destroyed them. He hath delivered them to the slaughter. Their slain also shall be cast out, and their stench also come up out of their carcasses, and the mountains shall be melted with their blood, and all the host of heaven shall be dissolved, and the heavens shall be rolled together as a scroll, and all their hosts shall fall down as a leaf falleth off from the vine, and as a fallen fig from the fig tree. For my sword shall be bathed in heaven. Behold, it shall come down upon Edom and upon the people of my curse to judgment. The sword of the Lord is filled with blood. It is made fat with the fatness and with the blood of lambs and goats, and with the fat of the kidneys of the rams. For the Lord hath a sacrifice in Basra, and a great slaughter in the land of Edom. And the unicorn shall come down with them, and the bullock with the bulls, and their land shall be soaked with blood, and their dust made fat with fatness. For it is the day of the Lord's vengeance, and the year of recompense for the controversy of Zion, and the streams thereof shall be turned into pitch, and the dust thereof unto brimstone. and the land thereof shall become burning pitch. It shall not be quenched night nor day. The smoke thereof shall go up forever. From generation to generation it shall lie waste. None shall pass through it or forever and ever. But the cormorant and the bittern shall possess it, the owl also, and the raven shall dwell in it, and it shall stretch out upon it the line of confusion and the stones of emptiness. They shall call the nobles thereof to the kingdom, but none shall be there, and all her princes shall be nothing, and thorns shall come up in her places, needles and brambles in the fortresses thereof, and it shall be the habitation of dragons and a court of owls. The wild beast of the desert shall also meet with the wild beast of the island, and the satyr shall cry to his fellow. The screech owl also shall rest there and find for herself a place of rest. There shall the great owl make her nest and lay and hatch and gather under her shadow. There shall be vultures also be gathered, every one with her mate. Seek ye out of the book of the Lord and read. No one of these shall fail, nor shall want her mate. For my mouth it hath commanded, and his spirit hath gathered them, and he hath cast the lot for them, and his hand hath divided it upon them by line. They shall possess it forever. From generation to generation shall they dwell therein. So that was Isaiah chapter 34. Okay. So like I said, he prophesied this, that they was gonna go to Babylon for 70 years, and then he's gonna come back. He's gonna judge the nation, gonna bring the Israelites back. And this is predominantly what this is talking about. Okay. So I'll read chapter 35. Israel restored, like I said. So here, Israel restored to Zion. The wilderness and the solitary place shall be glad for them, and the desert shall rejoice and blossom as a rose. It shall blossom abundantly and rejoice, even with joy and singing. The glory of Lebanon shall be given unto it. The excellency of Carmel and Sharon, they shall see the glory of the Lord and the excellency of our God. Strengthen ye the weak hands and confirm the feeble knees. Say to them that are of fearful or heart, be strong, fear not. Behold, your God will come with vengeance, even God with a recompense, and he will come and save you. Then the eyes of the blind shall be opened, and the ears of the deaf shall be unstopped. Then shall the lame man leap as the harp, and the tongue of the dumb sing. For in the wilderness shall waters break out, and streams in the desert, and the parched ground shall become a pool, and the thirsty lands springs of water. In the habitation of dragons, where each day shall be grass with reeds and rushes, and a highway shall be there and a highway shall be there, and a way, and it shall be called the way of holiness. The unclean shall not pass over it, but it shall be for those, the wayfaring men. Thy food shall not err therein. No lion shall be there, nor any ravenous beast shall go up thereon. It shall not be found there. It shall not be found there, but the redeemed shall walk there, and the ransom of the Lord shall return and come to Zion with songs and everlasting joy unto their heads. That they shall obtain joy and gladness, and sorrow and sighing shall flee away. So this right here is when he brought them out of Babylon. right here when they when Cyrus came in Zechariah. I mean Ezra. When Cyrus made the proclamation, gave all the gold and all the silver and all that to Zerubbabel, and they came back. This is what he's talking about. It says, start at 8. And a highway shall be there, and a way, and it shall be called the way of holiness. The unclean shall not pass over it, but it shall be for those, the wayfaring men. Thy fools shall not err therein. No lion shall be there, nor any ravenous beast shall go up thereon. It shall not be found there, but the redeemed. See that? That's the people out of Israel, out of Babylon. The redeemed shall walk there, and the ransom of the Lord shall return. See that? And come to Zion with songs and with everlasting joy upon their heads, and they shall obtain joy and gladness, and sorrow, sighing shall flee away. Same thing getting ready to happen with us. Okay, same thing happened when they left Egypt. Nothing new under the sun. Okay. Anybody got any comments or questions on that?
So, shalom, brother Leonard. When he take us over back to the West Coast, and
Right.
then everybody who's unclean, and then we gonna walk on that highway to the land, then, right?
Yeah, from the
From
West
that,
Coast.
right? Yeah.
The West Coast. He said you're gonna go back by the way in which you came. So they when the Antiochus came, they fled from Israel and went to the West Coast. Then from the West Coast, we came here. So we're getting ready to go back by the way in which we came. From here back to the West Coast, then from beyond the rivers of Ethiopia, I'm gonna call my dispersed. Then we go back to Jerusalem. And like I was saying, you starting to move closer and closer. We get to the end, we can see that that's where we're going. We're going back to all the different places that we came from out on the West Coast Africa. Even right now as we speak, with all the drama that they brought about over here with the Project 2025 and all that, they fleeing here. They're going to different parts of Africa, different parts of the West Africa, and especially different parts of Africa. We can see that happening. Okay. So with that being said, anybody got any? We're gonna pick a scripture, and then we'll read it, and then we'll close out.
Shalom. Yes, sir. I'm picking Ezekiel chapter 20, verse 38.
Okay.
Ezekiel chapter 20, verse 38. And I will purge out from among you the rebels and them that transgress against me. I will bring them forth out of the country where they sojourn, and they shall not enter into the land of Israel, and ye shall know that I am the Lord. Shalom. So
Thanks.
when he brought them out of Egypt, there were those that went into Israel doing the same thing.
Well, they didn't make it to Israel, like you said, like you just read. He brought them out. They didn't make it. He had to open up the earth. He had them wander around in the desert for 40 years. They didn't make it. And then we see the same thing in Babylon. And then the same thing going to happen now. They left. They left the place of their captivity, but they didn't make it back to Jerusalem.
So this 38 is more future than the past.
Where it's a recurring thing. Okay. Can you read it again?
Yes, sir. And I will purge out from among you the rebels and them that transgress against me. I will bring them forth out of the country where they sojourn, and they shall not enter into the land of Israel, and ye shall know that I am the Lord.
Okay. Did everybody that left Egypt make it the land of Canaan? Back to the land of Canaan?
No, sir. That's right.
Did everybody leave Babylon make it back?
No, sir.
And same thing will happen now.
Okay.
So it's a reoccurring thing.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So with that being said, anybody else got anything before we go? Any comments or whatever? Yeah, I was talking about the different movies that you can watch. That was how they shine the light on the fact that these about these end times, the silos, and all that. And I came across after I had that conversation, I came across another movie. This is like a season series, it's 2 seasons. Uh, Man, I can't think of the name of that. It's what's the name of that? Michelle? Paradise. Paradise. Yeah, that's the name of the name of the series. It's Paradise, and it's a good. You can watch it. It's got some good information in there, and then the ending. The ending
Yes.
says a lot.
Is that on Netflix or Paramount or where can
Hulu.
you find it?
It's on Hulu, and I think
On Hulu? Yes, sir.
I had somebody tell me that they found it on Apple TV. But yeah, I know it's on Hulu. That's where we watch it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So with that being said, if nobody else have anything else, we're gonna say shalom to everybody. See everybody on Tuesday. We have our um, news briefing, Tanaka news briefing. Okay, so I'll see everybody then. Shalom.
Shalom, everyone.
I highly recommend that you get this book and you read it because it's a must that you understand who God head is in the order that's in the Old Testament and Tanakh, because it's not the same as in the New Testament. And when you read this and you get an understanding, then the scriptures open up and then you begin to understand. So I highly recommend that you get this book. It's the Elohim of Israel, and it's a breakdown on the word Elohim and who the God of Israel is and the Godhead.